right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Battlefield Project Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Rhoda. We are the podcast for people who understand that life is a battle and only the strong will thrive. I do my best to interview and kind of feature people from all different walks of life. And basically, the goal of this podcast is to have them jump on the show and share whatever they're comfortable with in terms of the battles that they've experienced in life, and then more importantly, how they overcame them. I like to introduce every podcast by saying a lot of people, I believe, are under the impression that successful, happy people have had a red carpet laid out before them, or they got lucky and that's why they're living a good life. And 99% of the time, that is just not the case. The reason that successful and happy people are successful and happy is because when they're faced with battles in life, they have the fortitude, courage, discipline, whatever you want to call it, to tackle those battles head on, face those battles, and then win those battles, and then live a good life because of that. They don't play the victim card. So today I'm joined by my really good friend here, Charles. I'm super excited to introduce him in a second. I met him through a networking group, Apex. I think that's how we first got introduced, or something like that, through Clint probably. And just a stand-up dude. He'll probably say I inspire him with these ultra stuff that he's doing, but he did an Ironman. He inspires me now. I'm actually dusting off my shoes again and getting back out there and going to do some ultras this year because I saw you posting about it. I'm like, shit, like I saw you post about that, and I read the David Goggins book, never finished at the same time. I was like, okay, like I got to get back out there and grind, man. So Charles, man, thanks for being here, brother.
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me. I've been following your journey, and like you said, every day's a battlefield. You know, it's not all sunshine and roses, and some days are difficult. And I think too often we wake up, whether it's waking up late or waking up feeling like garbage or whatever happens in life, and we automatically assume that it's an L. You know, we calculate these L's so early on in our entrepreneurial journey or our daily journeys to where the L's should be lessons, not losses. And the W's, they're not always wins. Sometimes they're just ways to look at your habits, right? So I appreciate you having me on the show, and excited to share my story and share my struggles. And I'll see you on the battlefield.
Oh yeah, brother. All right, let me do a quick intro here so we can jump into this. Charles is a retired Navy in-flight helicopter mechanic who spent a majority of his enlistment on the sandy beaches of San Diego, California. Small little side note, I lived in San Diego for 5 years and freaking loved it, man. It's one of the coolest places in the world. He was surfing waves and deploying all over the world. During his active duty, he trained with special operation commands, leading 400 plus people in fitness, nutrition-based programs in order to meet Navy standards. He fell in love with the pain you could work through by logging miles in the soft sand. That's no joke. After he exited from active duty, he attended the University of San Diego, where he earned a double major in business management and real estate finance while serving as an active member of the Veterans Community Outreach Program. Following graduation, he was recruited by AT&T B2B to establish market territory in Texas and later on in Florida. Fast forward 2 years, and he reads a book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, one of my favorite books, and decided to exit from corporate America. He sold his truck, donated his belongings, and backpacked Southeast Asia for 6 months, seeking a bigger meaning than materialistic success. I love it. And we'll plug this at the end, but follow this dude on YouTube because his videos are phenomenal. Today, he lives in Tampa, Florida, where he's currently training for an Ironman, working on his master diver, creating content, planning for the next 6-month leg, South America in 2022. I'm guessing probably 2023 at this point. And then he signs off with live, laugh, and travel. Man, I love it, dude. Welcome. I'm super excited to have you on here.
Excited to be here, man. What's crazy is we actually had this podcast planned in October. I think it was like October
mid to end of October.
Yeah, and we got a hurricane over in Tampa, and this is like the peak of my training, like my training peak, to where I'm supposed to run. And I'm supposed to run this week. I'm supposed to run 15 miles and swim like 2 and bike 70, something nuts.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, very high level hurricanes. I was still outside getting it. We lost power and internet. So I texted Matt. I was like, let's do this after the Ironman.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see like the intro and then the outro as to I've already done what I wrote down. And I'm a huge advocate of writing shit down. And I think I made a post on Facebook that has some great visibility about writing down your action items.
Yep.
And breaking those down into quarterly goals, breaking those quarterly goals down into weekly goals and the daily
Yep.
goals.
Yep.
Because too often I think in life we have this giant piece of cake of what we call success.
Yep.
And we take bites at it, we nibble at it, as opposed to cutting a slice and then eating it slowly and understanding that if we just try to eat the cake at once, you're going to get a stomach ache first off.
Yep.
And you're going to be overwhelmed, you know? So it was cool to hear like some of the things I've accomplished and then actually doing them.
Yeah. And
that's what life's about, man, right? Is not only accomplishing things for yourself, but for your legacy, for your last name, for those that can't.
Yep.
And I'll backpedal a little bit. You know, when I was active duty, you know, I lost a lot of great people, whether it was through suicide or through combat or through just negligence.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm logging these long runs or, you know, when I was in sales making these cold calls, I mean, they're my reason why.
Yeah.
You know, when you start directing your reason why towards selflessness as opposed to selfishness, not only do you inspire yourself, you inspire others around you. And that's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
You know, it's to have the person that didn't want to wake up today, get out of bed, put their shoes on, and even walk a half a mile. Because I've been there. I've been the fucking fat ass that could barely get in my truck, that didn't want to wake up every day, that was going through a lot of shit. And, you know, I look to people like you. I look to people like Goggins, like people like Clint, that were up there and getting it and being authentic and being vulnerable and letting people know that this is a lifetime journey.
Yeah.
This isn't just a daily thing. So
absolutely, man. That's why I just finished 75 hard yesterday, and I've done it a couple times, and on almost every other one before, I would like day 76, you know, right after you're done, I'd be like, I'm just gonna eat whatever, like now I can eat whatever I get. And you know, this time I'm like, before I'd be like, it's a lifestyle, and if for the most part is, but now I'm like, it's the standard. Like I've switched in my mindset to be like, this is my standard. And like people are like, are you ever going to do it again? I'm like, I'm just going to keep doing it. Like, and there will be days where like I have like a refeed meal or like a celebratory meal that my wife makes for us. And like I'll partake in that. So that day technically wouldn't count. It's like, but like next year it's just gonna be like almost every day I plan on being a 75 hard day, because like it's my standard at this point. Is like, it's just like you said, man, it's a lifelong journey. Like this is just the person I want to be for the rest of my life. Like I have no desire to hit a finish line and then be like, okay, now I'm going to be lazy because I reached my goal. Like my goal is personal excellence every single day for the rest of my life.
Right. Well, it's never finished, right? I mean, when I was, you know, before I traveled, I fell into like a pretty deep state of depression, right? And when I was talking through it with my therapist, she would talk about when we were looking at mountains, we were looking at obstacles in life. Too often we're focused on like looking up the mountain and it gets overwhelming. And what I've been implementing, and I see you do the same thing, is you look ahead of you.
Yep.
And then once you get to the peak of the mountain, there's another peak and another peak and another peak, and you're never finished. But if you keep on looking up, it gets intimidating and overwhelming.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful, man. For viewers that don't know what 75 hard is, let's have you kind of run them through that, like a 30-second little pitch of what 75 hard is. Because I've tried it and I've failed at it. But what I have succeeded in is implementing some of the habits into my life.
Yeah. Yeah. 75 hard. It's a daily progress photo. It's a gallon of water, like straight water. It's not mixing it with stuff. And it's like a gallon of water. It's two 45-minute workouts. One must be outdoors. I just realized this when I read the book. So the first three or four times I did it, I don't think I like did it to the level that I should. So I don't even really count them as victories. You're supposed to take like 2 or 3 hour break in between every workout. So I knew there had to be a break between the workouts for the first couple rounds that I did this last year, the year before. But I would do like an hour. Like I'd finish my run, I'd go in, eat breakfast, chill out for an hour, go back out. And then I read the book, and it was like you have to like have a pretty big break in between each workout. So this most recent time I did it, I was very, very strict on making sure it was at least a minimum of 3 hours between the workouts. And then it's reading 10 pages of a book every day. And it's got to be like a personal development book, like some business book, personal development, something that enriches your mind, not just kind of like a romance novel or something like that. Read those too if you want to. But like this, for this program, it's, you know, build your mind up. And then no alcohol and no cheat meals. So pick a diet and stick to it. And that diet can be anything. It can be paleo. It can be an elimination diet where you're like, I'm not eating sugars and seed oils. It can be, I'm going Whole30, like whatever it is, you just have to pick a diet, stick to it, and then you don't get that cheat meal that a lot of people like me, prior to this, like every Saturday was like, it's my time to like eat a couple like slices of pizza and a sub and stuff.
Yeah.
That's eliminated through 75 hard as well.
And what I love about this program is it not only is super strict, it almost resets you. It gives you a new baseline, because when you're not filling your body with shit food, when you're not filling your body with alcohol and drugs, when you're not filling your body with toxic news media, when you're taking your family on a walk outside or doing your outside walk, you're around nature, you're breathing in the oxygen, you are seeing new parts of your community you haven't really seen often, and then you're coming back and reading 10 pages of a book that lets you escape temporarily and helps you become a better person. Those are the protocols that I've implemented that I'll never let go.
Correct.
Like, no matter what I do, whether Anakin's with me for another 10 years or 20 years, my dog in the background, I'm going on an outdoor walk every day, or an outdoor run every day. Whether it's a nighttime or daytime, it makes me feel good. So you were talking about diet, and I'll kind of talk about my diet and what I do. Let's not even call it diet, because diet, I feel like diet is like fad, very short term. What are your lifestyle food choices? Because I see you're like get a 5-pound chicken breast from Costco and you shred it out, and I know you do intermittent fasting and water fast. So let's talk about your food protocol.
Yeah, man. So I'm right now. So chicken was a while ago. Now I'm like probably half a pound to a pound of ground beef every day, and I'm getting stuff from like a rancher in Montana, like good grass-fed, hormone-free, like not from the local grocery store. I have a big bowl of that once a day, maybe twice a day, depending on my workout schedule. If I need extra calories, I'll crush up a whole bunch of like sea salt on top of it, throw some feta cheese on it. That's like my main meal.
Feta.
Yeah, I love feta, dude. Once or twice a day, definitely once, most of the times twice, I'll have a pretty decent sized bowl of 5% fat yogurt with peanut butter granola on it, low sugar peanut butter granola on top. That's like my sweet snack that I love, and like it's like 30 grams of protein per serving when you get the granola plus the yogurt. Lara bars, they've got these lemon Lara bars that are like 6 basic ingredients. They're calorie dense, so I'll eat 1 or 2 of those a day depending on what else I eat. Helen cooks healthy almost all the time, so depending on what like she cooks, I might have a dinner with I'll sit down with the family and eat, but I might actually eat what they eat depending on what I ate earlier in the day. Water, like a gallon of water is just a given at this point. That's really it, man. Like I have I found what works for me, and like it's it gives me the fuel I need to like do what I want to do on a daily basis, feel good, and then like selfishly, or I don't know what the right word is here, but like to look the way I want to look. Like I'm able to like eat. I don't restrict myself. Like I limit the number of foods I eat, because if I start going down the rabbit hole, like chips, candy bars, cookies, like I'd eat those all day, every day if I let myself. But I know that's not going to lead me to my goal of looking how I want to look, feeling how I want to feel, and then being who I want to be. So I just avoid that shit at all costs.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think the biggest part is, knowing what foods work the best for your body, and what foods can help you optimize your potential, because we're all bound by genetics. We're not all bound by willpower. And the foods we consume have huge effects on our brain and our recovery time. And I mean, my food choices are pretty similar. I mean, I think that a lot of times we overcomplicate things and we have too many options. And when you have like a go-to breakfast or a go-to lunch or a go-to dinner, you eat it every day. Sure, it's boring, but my dog eats the same food for breakfast and he still performs well. So
exactly.
You got to start looking at food as not, I hate to say it like this, food is fuel. It's not supposed to be like beautiful every single meal. So I mean, for me, like I usually fast until 1 or 2 p.m. I'll have nothing pre-workout, pre-run. I like to run and lift on an empty stomach. I might have like a quarter to half of a gallon of water with like electrolyte powder in there. And then post run, I'll have some oatmeal with berries and a protein shake. And then my lunch is the same every day. It's usually like 2 cups of rice I like white rice or potatoes.
Yep.
And then, I've been on a ground beef kick lately,
Yeah.
85-15, a little bit
Yep.
higher fat content.
Same. Yep.
And then I'll put some salsa on top, like low ingredient salsa.
Yep.
And then dinner's like usually chicken and veggies. I try to cut my carbs off before I go to sleep, just higher protein, higher fats. And
Yep.
I have an avocado every day. I have a banana every day.
Yeah.
I try to shop on the outside aisles, but
Yeah.
to be honest, I'm running so much, man. I mean, even on a 6 mile run, I burned 1,000 calories. On my 15-mile run on Saturday, I'll burn 2,500 calories to where it's hard to consume like super clean foods
to get
in that
amount.
abundance.
Yep.
So what I did during my Ironman prep is I'll have a cheat meal on my heavy training days.
Yeah.
Because I earned it, you know. And my cheat meal won't be crazy. It'll be like maybe hamburger and fries or something.
Yeah.
The rest of the day I'll eat clean.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
man, that's my
what you just said. Like I've said similar, and I've caught backlash on it when you say like you earned it, and people are like, you don't have to earn food. It's not and I'm like, I fucking disagree. Like to me, like I think the problem with people and society as a whole, when you look at like the obesity rates and all that stuff, is people don't think like we think, and they're just like, I deserve to eat whatever I want, whenever I want. Like as a human being, you have the right to do that. Like nobody can take that right away from you. But like, is it healthy to eat whatever you want, whenever you want, without a balance of like burning X calories to consume X calories? Like if you're burning this many and eating this many every day, like what do you think is going to happen? Like it's got to go somewhere. It just sticks to you. Like, come on, put two and two together. But you know, I think that's people probably are just like bitter and like justifying why they can eat whatever they want whenever they want and be like, you're doing it wrong. Like, okay, like not to be, but like results speak for themselves. Like I'm fully functioning, super healthy, look healthy. Like you do you, I'll do me, and like we can each live by our own standards. So
well, the biggest thing is like society right now is embracing obesity. It's embracing not being healthy. When COVID came out, you know, they didn't talk about, hey, in order to be healthy or eat better foods, exercise. They just talked about jabbing, you know. And if you look at like the health advocates in our American space, they're all overweight. You know, there's more body shaming for being healthy than there is for being obese. And you know, I talk about this on my social media a lot. You know, it's a fucking choice. And when you go back to earning your food, our ancestors, I'm a huge advocate of like thinking about how did our ancestors think? Because 400 years ago, we were living, you know, not in these beautiful environments. You had to catch your fucking food. So our ancestors, you know, say 1,000 years ago, would wake up and you'd have to go hunt for days at a time. You'd burn thousands of calories. You'd catch your food. You'd carry your food back over 50, 60 miles. You'd cut it up. You'd feed your family. You get drunk because you earned your kill. And then you'd sleep and wake up and you have no food to your next kill. And for me, whenever I'm running, not only am I thinking about like, you know, chasing down the antelope. You know, there's an interesting statistic to where an antelope can outrun you for a short amount of time. But if you keep on chasing that antelope, after like 5 miles, it'll stop. And that's when you get the antelope, right? So life's kind of like that. And too often we reward ourselves without catching the antelope, you know? So for me, you know, my cheat meals, I fucking earned it. You know, if I go run, even in the beginning stages, if you're not used to running a lot and you run something for you is a big deal, you know, have something to reward yourself. You know, these small rewards are okay. In my book, they're okay to have small rewards. I agree with you, brother.
Yeah, totally agree with you, man.
You know,
so what are you're training for now? You got a 50 mile on the books, or just you're envisioning it? Or is there something officially scheduled?
So I broke down, we'll talk about physical goals and then emotional and spiritual. I broke down my goals into quarters. So for Q1, I'm doing a 50 miler. There's one in March, I believe, pretty flat, not a lot of altitude. I'll let you know when that race officially is, but I'm looking at a few different in March. I'm trying to have it align with my schedule. March is a busy month for me. And then Q1 is the 50 miler. Right after that, I'm gonna roll into a full Ironman because why not? I already have the running. The running will be down packed. I'm gonna throw in some swimming and biking, which I'll start throwing in like probably mid Q1 anyways. I'll be running
Yeah.
and biking. The swim is easy for me. And then Q3, I'm doing a 100-miler.
Nice, man.
Yeah, I want to do Leadville, but I don't know if I can handle that yet.
You go big, dude. That's
We'll
going
see.
big. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking big. There's a guy named Pyrrhus Snow. Shout out Pyrrhus. If you don't follow Pyrrhus on Instagram,
I
he's
don't.
somebody you should definitely connect with.
Okay.
I'll send you his information. This guy's a fucking
Awesome.
savage. He's
Oh,
20 years
yeah.
old. He does 50 milers, 100 milers. He's doing a 240 miler this year. He does full Ironmans. This guy has a battlefield mindset. He'd be
Yeah.
a great person. I'll introduce you guys. But
Awesome, man. Thank you.
the 100 miler Q3 and then Q4, I'm doing a 24-hour race to where I
Nice.
run for 24 hours straight.
Yeah.
To
Those
raise
are
money for veteran suicide. So
yeah. I attempted one 24-hour, not this August, but the previous, and I think I got like 15 hours into it, and I was just like, I feel like going home. Like it was dark. Like you start like getting, because it was 12 hours running a 5-mile loop one way, and then it got dark and you switched and started running the other way for the next 12. And I did one lap of the next 12, and just like I was tired. I think I was at 55 miles at that point, and I was just tired, and it was like your footing is all weird, and this was like a really rugged trail, and I knew like Helen was at the house, and I was like, I could just go to my bed and shower. So I like bitched out. I was like, I'm out. But I want to do a 24-hour and like do the 24 hours, because it's a grind, man. Like I do these things for the mental thing, like it, and that was a fail for me. But like when you succeed in those things, like you're like, yeah, I did 50 miles. Yeah, I ran for 24 hours. Like I'm physically capable. Cool. But more than anything, you're like, the mindset, like the juice you get in your mind is like, okay, I can do anything then. Like if I can put on running shoes and run for 24 hours in a fucking circle, like you can throw anything in my face and I'll overcome it in life. So
yeah, that's
the
the
cool
biggest
part.
takeaway I get from like all these endurance challenges. I mean, even when I was like powerlifting and I was able to deadlift, 500 pounds at 155, like
Yeah.
just knowing that when I walked into the gym, that nobody in the gym pound for pound was stronger than me.
Yep.
As ego driven as it sounds, to me was like,
Yep.
there's a hard ROI on my effort and my output,
Yeah.
knowing that pound for pound, nobody was able to fuck with me. And same thing when I run, and when I run down the Tampa Bay River, there's nobody outside running.
Yeah.
And it's just me.
Yep.
Just me and my headphones, and then my headphones died. I have 6 miles left. It's just me and my thoughts.
Yep.
There's something special about that, like knowing that nobody is gonna hold you responsible than yourself, and it kind of reflects back to our journey through life. Is there's times to where you've woken up, and I've woken up towards just us, nobody else. Whether it's you're waking up early or the business is struggling, you got to power through those shit moments to find the sunshine.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, these long races, how are because I've never ran over, I think the longest I've ran is like 20. What is a marathon? 26. I've done a marathon 20. I've done 27.
Yeah.
So when you're doing these 50-mile runs, you're not going 8-minute miles. You're doing like
10, 11.
You're doing like a 10, 11. Then you're probably walking every 10. And what was your strategy for these longer runs?
One foot in front of the other, is like cliche as it is. And like so for me, I don't train enough at all really to go to these things and think I want to win or I want to place. Like it never, when I was a little kid in basketball, baseball, like I wanted the trophies, I wanted first place, like that was the goal. Like that's why I play these games and do these things. As I've gotten older and like other priorities seep into your reality and you don't go as hard in training and stuff, for me, I just show up and I'm like, I want to start and I want to finish, period. Like, and I don't care if I'm the last person, I'm never the last, but like if I was, as long as I finish, like I'm good with that. So it's that mentality. I go into it thinking to myself two things. One, I get to I'm choosing to do this, and I'm blessed that I'm able to do this. And even if I struggle, even if I have to walk, even if things hurt, I chose to do this, and I'm blessed to be physically capable of doing this. And I'm either doing this today for 12 hours, 10 and a half, 12 hours for a 50-mile race, or I could be home like walking dogs or like watching TV or whatever. Like I'm going to have to spend my 12 hours doing something. I'm doing this, be here and do this. And like, don't wish it away. Don't regret it. Don't like, what am I do? Like, you have those thoughts. Trust me, you're gonna be out there and be like, why am I fucking doing this to myself? Like, mile
Yeah.
35 where like your knee hurts every time you put your foot down. You're like, why am I doing this to myself? And like, it's like a 13-minute mile, 16-minute mile. And you're like, I still have 17 miles left. Why am I doing this to myself? All those
Yeah.
thoughts will happen. But like, that's like fleeting thoughts. The overall like energy and essence of it all is like, I get to be out here doing this. And like you said, with, you're running and like no one else is out there running. Like, I'm out there, I'm like, how many other people in the world right now are banging out 50 miles? Like, it's not many people. So like that,
No.
like self-satisfaction of like, I'm able, willing, and capable of doing something that most people won't even ever think about attempting. It just gets the energy flowing and it gets you to the finish line. And I always say, like, they're like the birth of your children, getting married, all those things. Like, those are the top moments of your life. But like, crossing the finish line on something as physically demanding as like a 50-mile race, even like a 50K or even a marathon, like those kinds of things, like that is such a high of a moment that it's like at the end of it, you get in your car and you're like, you like wobble, you can't bend over and take your shoes off because you cramp. You're like, I'm never doing that again. You go home like 2 hours later, you rest a little bit and you're like, when's the next one? Like, I want to fucking do it again. So yeah, the strategy for me is always just grind it out, man. Like, I don't train enough to do these things easily. Like, I do like a 5 or 10 mile week leading up to these things. And like, you're smart. Like, you're training like a 16-week block. You're doing long runs, short runs, recovery. I'm just like, I'll just do 5 miles today. I'll do 5 miles tomorrow. Like, and then I take 7 days off and I'm like, I should probably train for that. And then I just get out and it's like, I'm just gonna fucking grind it out. Like, I will get to the finish line no matter what.
This is the first endurance event I'm actually have trained for,
Yeah.
like proactively. Because when I did my Ironman, well, I'm sorry, a 70.3 Ironman. So for those that don't know what an
Yep.
Ironman is, an Ironman is a full marathon. It is I believe it's a 112-mile bike ride and
Yeah.
a 3.5-mile swim. A 70.3 is the same thing, but it's half that. It's like a
Yep.
1.5-mile swim, 56-mile bike, and a half marathon. So I did a half Ironman. They call it a 70.3 because it's still fucking very challenging. But I did
Yeah.
that in 8 weeks of training.
Yeah.
8 weeks. I was actually drinking with my sister and her boyfriend in Hilton Head. We go there every year, and they were like 5 weeks into training, and they were like making comments like, "Oh, you should do an Ironman, but you're probably not ready." And when I
Yeah.
hear someone say you're not ready, you can't do it, I'm like, you know what? Like, if I break my fucking legs
Watch.
doing this run, I'll do it.
Yep.
And I did it. I did it in 8 weeks. Now
Yeah.
this 50 miler, I've read so many books, Born to Run and The
Yep.
Runner Within, and there's so many great books on Audible about these guys, these super high endurance athletes, and you hear about them
Hmm.
running 240 miles. You hear about David Goggins running 100 miles on a Sunday when he haven't ran in years on a Friday, and just
Yeah. Just
guys
decided
like
to
him that are
do
able
it.
to decide to do it. I'm like, if I can actually prep this out,
Yeah.
I can not only avoid injury, but I can track my results, track my metrics. So
Yep.
this training program, I have 16 weeks of prep. I'll probably end up doing it in 12 weeks
Yeah.
because I'm crazy like that, and
Yeah.
I'm tracking everything. I'm tracking my heart rate. I'm tracking my pace. I'm tracking um, my miles. I'm doing short days, speed
Yeah.
days, long days, recovery days. Because the older you get, the more and more, for me at least, I need to have metrics. And when I was in sales, a big indicator of your metrics were something called KPIs,
Yep.
key performance indicators. And if on week 1 and week 3, if my pace is getting better and my heart rate is getting lower, I'm doing something right.
Yep.
But if my heart rate is getting higher and my pace is getting slower, I'm doing something wrong. I'm not recovering enough.
Yep.
So for the listeners that don't know what heart rate, the components for heart rate, I'm sure, Matt can direct you a little better, but for me, at least, optimal zone 2, which means you're not burning a lot of fat and you're able to talk and have a conversation, would be between like a 125 to 145,
Yeah.
for a zone 2. And that's the optimal zone for me, for my research, for all these long endurance events,
Yeah.
is zone 2. So yeah, man, excited for this 50 miler. One thing that I'm going to ask you is, as far as nutrition goes on these, like for my
Yeah.
Ironman, it was a 7-mile race. And every like X amount of miles, I'd either like taken a goo packet or have like a protein bar or have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yep.
During these long runs, what is your nutrition
Yeah,
like?
so when I go out for these long ones, I put the Camelback on, which I don't usually do for much less than a 50 mile. Like even the 50Ks, 32 miles, I think I've worn the backpacks for electrolytes and fluids, and like every couple miles take a couple swigs just to stay hydrated. But what I would share with you, like the hack that I learned or secret that I learned from like pacing with other like serious ultra runners on these longer distance ones, when you get to an aid station and you're like eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a grilled cheese or something, like whatever they have there for you, grab it, walk while you're eating it, and then give yourself like 5 minutes, like half of a mile, quarter of a mile to walk after you've eaten it. So don't eat it
Yeah.
and pick right back up because it's going to upset your stomach. Even that little 5 minute break for the food to start to digest, from what I've learned and like heard, is extremely important. And it probably is true because before I would just eat and then be like, okay, I gotta like, and you just start going, and like 10 minutes after, you're like, ugh, like you just feel,
Cramping.
yeah, you're like, I don't feel that great, and then you want to slow down anyway. So they were all like, no, eat while you're walking, and then give yourself another 5 or 10 minutes of just walking once you're done eating, and then pick the pace back up. And you hear that, and like counterintuitively, you're like, well, then my overall time is going to be less because there's, I don't know, for a 50-mile race, there's probably going to be 10, 11, 12 aid stations, like 8 to 12 aid stations, depending on how many miles
Yeah.
apart. So you're like, well, if I do a 10-minute walk at every aid station, that's an extra hour and 20 minutes on my time. Yeah, technically, but like if that keeps you from completely breaking down and shit in the bed 30 miles in, where you're like slow walking for 20 miles and then you got 4 hours of extra time, those things ebb and flow in your favor ultimately. Because again, like I'm not trying to win. If I was trying to win, those guys are just fucking flying. Those girls and guys are flying. Like they don't even
Seven
stop
minute
at aid
miles the
stations.
entire
Yeah.
time for 50.
I can't even fathom
It's
it.
psychopath.
Yeah, I can't even run a 7 minute mile. I mean, I could probably sprint one 7 minute mile, but by the end of it,
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, I'm done. Like I'd be like curled over in a fetal position, be like, I can't do that anymore. These guys and girls just like it's nothing.
Yeah. I'm not a fast runner, but I'm a consistent runner. Like,
That's how I am.
you know, I'm not gonna like my goal for this prep is to, under 10, be able to average 7 minutes. Like
Yeah.
not during the race, of course, but if I can break like a 7 minute mile for 10 miles, I'll be super
Oh,
fucking
dude.
stoked. That
Yeah.
that's incredible.
It's extremely
Um,
solid.
but during my 50-miler race, I'll probably, nines to 13s, probably some
Yeah.
16s,
Yep.
like you said. And, in Tampa, it's all flat. So one thing I do is, I run down this river walk, which is like 7 miles. I run
Mm-hmm.
on the grass. I run through the dirt.
Yeah.
I'm trying to train my body to run over all different types of obstacles. Like I'll
Yeah.
do, um, I'll be the crazy guy like running through puddles and shit. Because when you're
Yeah.
running these actual 50-milers, and you're like, I have a buddy of mine doing the Appalachian Trail 50-miler, which is
Yeah.
psychopath. You're
Yeah.
going on a hike
Yeah.
with some runs.
Yep.
And on the 100-mile runs and 240-mile runs, you're actually bringing like camping gear with you.
Oh, yeah.
You are like sleeping sometimes maybe for 2 hours.
Yep.
So it's exciting, man. I called my mom yesterday, and she told me she'd be my Sherpa,
Hell yeah.
which is essentially like your left or right hand man or woman,
Yep.
where they are at the aid stations. They help you with your shoes, your feet, because
Yeah.
my toenails are gonna fall off
Oh
during my
yeah,
100
dude.
miler for
I've
sure.
lost so many big toenails. It's disgusting. The one doesn't even grow back anymore. It like peaks out for like a quarter of a toenail. It's like, I'm done. You're
Yeah,
just gonna destroy me anyway. I'm like, that's fair.
yeah. I get pedicures. I think men should take care of their feet. I do it
Yeah.
mainly because I grow these huge calluses on my toes, so I can't put
Yeah.
shoes on. And every time I go there, the poor ladies are like, "Man, your feet are not very pretty." I'm like, "They're never going to be pretty because
Yeah.
I'm on my feet so much."
Yeah.
And if you look at David Goggins's feet,
Oh,
like
like after races or during races, it's disgusting.
man,
Yeah.
but that's the pride and that's the power of just putting in the time, man. To
Yeah.
me, that shows that you put in time. Like for weightlifters, it's about having calluses on your fingers. If
Yep.
you're an endurance athlete, it's about having fucked up toes.
Yeah. Missing toenails.
It's like,
I did 50 miles years ago. Not many, many years ago, probably 2, 3 years ago. And we have like at our old house, it was like a 1.1 mile loop. And like a couple of days before, I was like, I just want to run 50 miles. I'm like, I'm just going to run around my neighborhood 50 times. So that was what I decided to do. So I woke up early one morning, did it. And by mile like 20, I was like, my toe was burning. I was like, oh, I've got a blister developing. And whatever, like you just deal with it because that's what you do. So I got to mile 40 or I think 45, and I was ahead of my time. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go in the backyard with like my family, like take a 5 minute break, take my shoe off, and like change socks for the last 5 miles. I did that, and it was the outside of my left small toe had such a giant. It looked just like the toe looked like a blister, like it didn't look like a toe anymore. And
Uh,
it took the toenail and moved it all the way around to like the side bottom of my toe. Like the blister just like forced the toenail like completely around. And I looked down, I was like, where's my toenail? And I like turned my foot over. I'm like, oh my God, my toenail's on the side of my toe. Like it was
fuck.
awful pain. My mom was there and she's like, you're not gonna go back out, are you? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going back out. I'm like, I got like 5 miles left. I was like, I'm not quitting now. And
Yeah.
like it was painful and it hurt. Every step hurt. And like putting on new socks did nothing for it. And like I was gonna pop it, but then I'm like, I'm not sure how that's gonna go for the last 5 miles. So I was like, I did like 30 miles on this thing. I'm just gonna do it. And I did, but like I took a picture of it. I'll have to send it to you sometime. But it is the gnarliest looking my toe has ever looked. Like it was just like a big bubble of pus that my toe turned into. But like we keep saying, man, like who cares? Like it wasn't going to kill me. Like it was painful and like
Yeah.
it was awful, but the satisfaction of knowing that I can deal with that kind of pain and still push through pain to get to my final goal, which was 50 miles. It's like a notch in like the mental fortitude belt that you're like, okay, done. Like nothing can stop me.
100%. Because how old are you?
I just turned 40 in October.
So you're 40. I'm 36. Every time I have like these painful moments, whether it's in a run or something, I think this 18-year-old kid
Yeah.
that just joined the Marine Corps, that's in fucking Afghanistan, that is with his unit,
Yeah.
has a fucked up toe and has to climb up a mountain
Getting
for the
shot
next three
at.
days to getting shot at. If
Yeah.
these young kids can go through that kind of shit and they have broken ankles and maybe they
Yep.
got shot in the arm and they have to you have to survive.
Yep.
So for me, it's my survival instinct kicks in,
Yeah.
and I'm sick, man. I'll even close my eyes and like try to transport myself into a situation to where like if I don't make this moment, I'm dead.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and I get pretty sick in my head to where like I start thinking about the what if, like what if I was in this situation, how would I get out of it? Am I
Yeah.
just gonna give up?
Yep.
And for me, there's no giving up. Like you gotta drag me into the ocean, and I'm not
Yeah.
coming back, or I'm gonna swim and keep on trying. So
Yep.
that's the one mental thing I love about these longer runs. It's just the hurdles and the doubts that you overcome in your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably have had maybe 4 or 5 second wins during these long races. I
Oh
mean, I
yeah.
know during my Ironman, I was at mile like 55 on the bike, and I was like,
Yeah.
I couldn't even feel my legs.
Yep.
And I was thinking, like, how am I going to run half a marathon after biking this long? I can't even feel my legs. I get off my bike and I'm like hobbling. And I look at my mom and she's like, looks at me and she goes, "You're not done yet."
Yep.
My mom's like a very conservative Christian, like
Yeah.
down to earth, like
Yep.
quiet woman. For her to look at me and say, "You're not done yet,
Be like, Roger
tie
that.
your shoes and keep going." I was like, Roger that.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I ran my first mile or two, and then the lactate starts flooding to my calves for my
Yep.
quads, and then my body's warmed up, and
Yep.
then the next 12 miles was fun because
Yeah.
I was burning the fire. I knew that this was the last leg,
It's a stretch. Yeah.
and during the last mile, I mean, I couldn't really see because I was like, I started breaking down into tears
Yeah.
because everything I worked so hard for to finish
Yep.
and to run aside people that they dedicated. Some people would spend an entire year of their life training for a half Ironman.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they have
Yep.
lost 150 pounds, and to watch people cross that finish line, all ages, shapes, sizes. To have this one couple that was 75 years old doing their Ironman,
It's crazy. Yeah.
it's inspiring, man.
Yeah, I
So
say you feel their joy. Like I've experienced that where like you could feel the other people's joy of that accomplishment, and that multiplied and amplified by the joy you feel for yourself. There's plenty of times where I've crossed the finish line with like tears rolling down my face, and I'm just like, this was incredible. Like I'm getting goosebumps now, like reliving it and like thinking about it. But yeah, dude, it's an undescribable feeling to set a big goal like that and actually accomplish it.
there's this book I'm typing in my computer right now. You got to check out called Finding Ultra.
I've
by
read it.
Rich
Love it.
Roll.
Love it.
Dude, and you can probably relate to the story as I can. A lot of the things he went through
Yep.
in life, and just what a fucking badass, man.
Yeah.
Just a little synopsis for people listening. This guy started his journey in life at age 40. He was an alcoholic. He was a drug addict. He didn't really have a lot of goals. He was very overweight. And one day he just decided to start running. And, he's done ultra marathons. He's done ultra Ironmans. He's
Yeah.
done so many amazing things. And it's just guys like that I look at whenever I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough, just seeing that they started later than me and accomplished so many incredible things.
Oh yeah.
It kind of gives you like the recipe for success, knowing that, some days may suck, but you just got to power through it.
I say, and I think that recipe that they share, that you've shared, that I can share is do something every day. Like there's no recipe per se. The recipe is do the work every single day. And then you'll be able to do whatever you want to do. Like it's kind of as simple as that. Like whether it's a half marathon and you run 0.5 miles the first day because that's all you can do the work. And like the next day do 0.7. The next day try to get to a mile. Do a mile for 3 days in a row, then try to get to a mile and a half. Like no matter where you're at, do the work that day. Wake up, do the work the next day. Set a goal. Bang, 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 and like you get to it at some point.
Yeah, and there's this I'm sure you've heard of Jocko.
Oh
He
yeah.
has this Spotify playlist, and there's this song called "Good."
Okay.
It's really good. It's
really good.
It's a fun ride. Yeah, it's really good. You should definitely check it out on Spotify. It's called the Jocko. It's like 14 songs of mixing up his speeches with music. And he has this one speech, or this one talking point. He's talking about how things happen in life to you and how you should just say good and keep fucking moving.
Yeah.
And I give an example, like you injure yourself during training, good. You get to rehab yourself and come back stronger. You fail at a job, good. You get to just figure out why you failed and how to come back stronger. So how all these moments happen in life, and how if we look at them as lessons, not losses, and start thinking like, I'm grateful for this moment that happened. So I can come back, recalibrate, execute, and come back stronger. I always gotta say good, because what happens as humans, and this happens to me a lot sometimes, is we dwell on moments of failure and think, why me? And we play this victim mentality as opposed to getting up and getting after it. I mean, today, dude, I woke up at 10 o'clock, woke up 3 hours late, coughing, nose clogged up. I was like, fuck, I gotta hop on a podcast. I gotta stretch today. I'm not feeling good. But I looked in the mirror and I just said, you got to do it. And I took a hot shower, did a bunch of push-ups, took my dog for a walk, and I feel better.
Yeah.
And, the biggest thing I've learned is it's doing the shit you don't want to do when you don't want to do it. That's when it counts.
Yeah.
Because it's easy when the day is going great, when the day is raining and, you're fighting with your wife or spouse and your dog shit in your house. Those are the days you got to really
how bad do I want it?
The suck. Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's why I said that's like the phrase I use all the time when people talk to me about stuff. I'm like, how bad do you want it? Like it's kind of that simple. Like, how bad do you want it? If you really, really want it bad, like no matter what life throws at you, you'll find a way to get it done. If you kind of want it, you'll do it some of the times. If you don't really want it much, like you probably won't really do the work and then you won't get it. So it's kind of simple. Like if you really, really want it, then you just really, really go out and get it.
And kind of touching on that, it's almost like you have to look at yourself as a construction project.
Yeah.
Like you gotta lay the foundation, and sometimes the foundation isn't as strong as you thought, and you have to start all over, and that's fine. I mean, we look at these great people in life that accomplished a lot. You have Sam Walden, who started Walmart at age 55 years old. You have Troy Cathy, started Chick-fil-A at age 55 years old. You have
Colonel Sanders was like
Colonel Sanders,
60 or 70 or whatever. Yeah.
A lot of these people, you have your outliers like Mark Wahlberg and Elon Musk, but for some people, success comes later in life. And for us to understand that human existence isn't measuring ourselves against other people, but measuring ourselves against who we were 5 years ago. Have you seen progression? That's what it's about, man.
You're winning. Yeah. Let's leave it at that, man. I think that's an awesome way to end it. That comment you just made. Where can, for anyone listening, follow this dude? I think he puts out incredibly awesome content, and then connect with him. I'll put in the show notes when I publish this, like where to connect with you and stuff. But where can people find you online if they want to connect with you and follow your journey?
Yeah, so on YouTube, you can find me at the CR3 Experience. I started it as a travel channel, just to hold
Yeah.
myself accountable and document my journey traveling in Asia all by myself. So I post some travel stuff on there. I posted my entire Ironman prep on there, and I'll be posting my 50-mile prep on YouTube, on Facebook. I'm just at Charles Rezac, and then on all other social medias, I'm at the CR3 Experience. So
Awesome, man.
I sent you the Spotify link
I
for
saw
that
that.
Jocko. Yeah, man, awesome. Happy to connect with you. Happy to be part of the battlefield, and I know you're doing a lot of big things, and it's inspirational to see that you're able to impact people through this podcast. If I can just
Appreciate it, man.
impact one person,
That's what I say to people. Yep. People are like, "Are you making money
that's
off
the
of it?" I'm
goal.
like, "No." Like, if I do someday, cool. Like, I wouldn't say no to money coming in from something with this, but like my goal, I mean, in life in general, is to inspire people. I said this is just another door I can open to give other people a platform to share their story to inspire people, and by default, that allows me to help inspire people. That's why I say, man, if I can touch one person's life in a positive way on a daily basis, my purpose on this earth is being served. So I appreciate that feedback, man.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how the universe acts. I mean, it's almost surreal to where, yeah, I was having a pretty bad day yesterday. Not bad, just it was raining outside. I don't want to run.
Yeah.
My legs were sore. The first mile, I felt like couldn't even rotate my legs properly.
Yeah.
So I finished my run, and my headphones die halfway through. I'm like, man, today's just not my day.
Yeah.
And I come back to like an Instagram message from this girl, and she's like, hey, I just want to reach out and say, you don't know me, but you've helped me get through a lot of hard times. I was in a really, essentially she was thinking about suicide.
Yeah.
And she's like, thanks to you, you made me want to keep pushing through my day. And,
Incredible.
I've recovered over these past 4 months, and I've watched your journey. It's inspired me to, chase things that mean more to me than material success. And just having things like that mean a lot to me, and me sharing my story and being vulnerable and knowing that I've had dark moments and people relating to that and telling me they've worked through things because I've been vocal on things.
Yep.
That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
And that's what brings me joy, is helping people see the silver lining of life,
So I would say, man, be an eternal optimist, always expect the best. And when life hits you in the face with an uppercut, find the silver lining. And if you could do those two things, I really don't think there's much in life that could stop you, because it's like, no matter what tragedy happens, like you find that silver lining, and it exists in every situation. All of life is beautiful. Even the painful stuff has beauty in it.
Yeah. You said keep going, man. Keep going.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you sincerely for jumping on here. I know you're not feeling well, so it just again goes to show your character of like doing the work and getting the job done when you need to. I think our audience is going to enjoy this one. I'm going to label this one a little bit as like an ultra running endurance like episode, so people who are interested in that kind of crazy stuff can tune in and get some insights from you. And if I shared anything cool, then even cooler. So thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It was a good time, brother.
All right, I'll see you on the battlefield.
All right, man.